Brief history of Bajwur tribal district. According to popular legend, the name Bajwur has been derived from two Persian words Baj, which means tribute, and Awardan, which means to bring. Legend states that the area of Bajaur was ruled by the chief of an Arab tribe, who either collected tribute from the surrounding area or paid tribute to the Hindu dynasty that ruled the entire area. The earliest known history of Bajaur recounts Alexander the Great's invasion of this part of India in 4th century BC. He is known to have camped at a place which was later named Sikandaro. 1. He left Seleucus as his satrapy, governor, but Seleucus was unable to hold the territories of Kunar, Bajwur, Bana and Swat, which he ultimately surrendered to Chandragupta Maurya, 321 to 298 BC. During the Maurya dynasty, 305 to 180 BC, Buddhism spread to these areas. Later, this area became a part of the Greco-Bactrian dynasty, 250 to 125 BC, the Sakas, 1980 BC, 50 AD, Parthians, 247 BC to 24 AD, Kushans, 30 to 375 AD, Sassanians, 224 to 651 AD. White Huns, circa 450 to 560 AD, and Turks, 7th to 9th century AD. The next most important invasion that punctuates the history of the former agency is the invasion by Mahmud of Ghazna in 997 AD. One of his generals, Baba Uthman Shamrais, settled in Bajwur, and his descendants now form the Uthman Khel tribe. Even today the Uthman Khels, or Uthman Khels, are the predominant tribe of the Uthman Khel Tehsil of the Khair subdivision of Bajwur tribal district. Former agency. Baba Uthman Khel is known to have brought Islam to this area. The next historical record for Bajwur occurs in the early 16th century AD when Pakhtun tribes, mostly from around the present-day city of Kandahar, also spelled Kandhar, in Afghanistan, entered and settled in this area. These tribes were fiercely independent, never having been subdued or conquered, but only restrained. Among these tribes were the Yusufzis, who had settled in the lower parts of Bajaur region after expelling the Dilazaks, who were the original inhabitants. When Mughal Emperor Babur first entered the Bajwur area, it was ruled by Mir Haider Ali Gabri of the Jahangiri dynasty. 2. Babur was accompanied by several Dilazak chiefs, who directed Babur's might towards the Yusufzis. Babur attacked the fort of Gabbar and captured it. He killed 3,000 male inhabitants, 3. of the area, and took women and children as slaves. The Yusufzis and the Sultan of Swat began guerrilla warfare against the Mughal invasion, which ended after Babur signed a peace treaty. One of the clauses of this treaty was the marriage of Babur to the daughter of the Yusufzi chief, Malik Shah Mansur. After Babur's death, none of the Mughal emperors could fully subdue and rule these tribes. Subsequent to the Mughals, the area became a part of the Durrani Empire and later became a semi-independent area of British India in 1849. The British, however, did not succeed in ruling the tribes, even though this region was strategically important to the British Raj, as the tribes provided some protection to them from invasion or attacks from Afghanistan. Thus the colonial administrators oversaw, but never fully controlled, the region. Instead, they created a system that combined British-appointed agents, called political agents, and local tribal elders through which they exercised some control over these areas. The population was generally free to govern internal affairs according to tribal codes, while the political agent held authority in what were known as protected, e.g. Malakand, and administered or districts, areas over all matters related to the security of British India. Jandol or Jandul Valley of Bajwur tribal district, now in Utman Khel Tehsil of Khyber subdivision, was ruled by Utman Khel tribal chiefs. In 1879, after the death of Aman Khan, the tribal ruler of Jandol, his elder son, Muhammad Zaman Khan, 1879 to 1881, succeeded him. But Umra Khan, also spelled Umra Khan, his younger son, killed his brother and usurped the throne in 1881. Umra Khan then raised an army and a horse cavalry and embarked on a series of conquests. He captured Deir and expelled Sharif Khan, the then ruler of Deir. By 1892 he was in control of Deir, Bajwur, Malakand and some portions of Swat, and his influence extended up to Bana. In February 1895, Umra Khan, also known in as the Afghan Napoleon by the British and Mast Khel Tarkani by locals, entered Chitral and captured the Drosh fort. The British political agent at Chitral asked Umra Khan to leave, but he wrote back to the British agent asking the British to leave Chitral instead and laid siege to the Chitral fort. The British organized the, now famous, Chitral expedition in March 1895. On realizing that he could not fight the well-armed and large British army, Umra Khan retreated to Kabul, where he died in 1903. Umra Khan's bravery is still revered, and his life story narrated by local historians. A number of British writers, including Sir Winston Churchill, 4, have written books on his life. After the Chitral expedition, Bajwur, which included Jandol, was made one of British India's princely states. The state was the only former agency in now former FATA and contained a number of mini-states or khante such as the Khante of Khyber, Khante of Navgai and Khante of Pashat. These khante were ruled by individual khans who owned all agricultural lands in their jurisdictions. These khans occasionally waged war with each other to assert control of the entire region. The Khan of Navgai was the hereditary chief of all of Bajaur. Many famous folk tales and songs depict the events of the internal feuds as well as Bajwur's conflicts with its neighboring territories, Muhammad, Kunar and Deir. After the partition of British India in 1947, Bajaur, along with the neighboring princely states of Deir and Swat, entered into a loose accession arrangement with Pakistan but remained practically independent. The Nawab of Khyber continued to rule Bajwur almost autonomously. After partition, the relations between Afghanistan and Pakistan were strained as Afghanistan refused to accept that the Durand Line Treaty, which had demarcated the Indian British territories and Afghanistan in 1896, was rightfully inherited by Pakistan. In 1960, Afghan irregulars, Afghan army troops in plain clothes, crossed into Pakistan. Their aim was to incite the populace against Pakistan and those allied with it, like the Nawab of Khyber, for an independent Pashtunistan. The Nawab of Khyber refused to side with Afghanistan. Having failed this mission, the Afghan irregulars initiated sporadic attacks on the Nawab of Khyber. These attacks continued for several months, with Afghan forces trying to depose the Nawab in favor of someone who would be more inclined towards Pashtunistan. The Nawab of Khyber was forced to ask the Pakistan army for help. Pakistan raised a new light infantry paramilitary unit under the frontier courts named Bajwur Scouts. The light infantry was recruited locally in Bajwur and officered by regular Pakistan army officers. A few border posts, mostly to house the new unit, at the border were also built, and a clearing operation was started with the help of Pakistan Air Force. These steps helped clear Bajwur of the insurgents. In 1961, the Afghan army again attacked Bajwur and was repulsed by the Bajaur scouts. This war battle border skirmish lasted 6 days, and Pakistan Air Force, along with Pakistan Army, took part in bombing Afghan army positions and destroying the machine gun and mortar nests in Kunar that were being used to target Pakistani posts. This resulted in a lasting defeat of the Afghan army and resulted in broken diplomatic relations between the two countries. These relations were resumed in 1963 with the help of the Shah of Iran.